Hello and welcome to the first cinematography breakdown on the channel, and welcome to my basement with the random quasar over there. I just wanted to break down this short film / commercial that I got to be a DP on last Christmas, since the holidays are coming up, and just bring you guys through pre-production and into production on the short, and just go over some of my experiences as a cinematographer on the shoot. So let's go ahead and just check this commercial out. It's super quick, and it'll just help you get a feel for what we're working with.
A merry little Christmas. Let your heart lie.
Jelly.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Michael Jordan. He was transported into this world. You just wouldn't believe it.
This milkshake is amazing.
It is.
I absolutely love this.
So you want a ham and cheese with milk?
No, that's not gonna work for you. Know what? Put Hank back on the phone. What? What did you? Oh, I will not be spoken to like that on Christmas, Rick. Oh, I have never. You should have heard what he called me, hurt my heart and soul. Listen, 30 minutes is what they're saying for a tow truck. 30 minutes. That's not gonna work with our schedule tonight.
Sean, honey, it's okay. Hey, it is Christmas.
Ma'am, what's your soup du jour?
Soup of the day.
That sounds good. I'll have that. You know what I ought to do? I ought to call Rick back and give him a piece of my mind. I'm coming through this phone, Rick. You don't even know me.
I'm so excited for Christmas.
I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good.
Let your heart
Okay, so as you can see, super fun little spot. We were going for the stylized, hallmarky, like soft, bloomy look, but still wanted to have like some vibrant colors and stuff like that in there. So ton of fun visually to work on. But the first thing that I want to dive into is kind of the location scout. So we got super lucky with the diner. It was an awesome location. Obviously, it was very clear that we wanted to kind of split the location in half. So here's a picture. One half of the restaurant we'll film in, and then the other half will be kind of our staging behind the scenes area. We'll never see that way. And that's for a lot of reasons, but mostly because we just want to keep the action as close as possible. We don't have a whole restaurant worth of extras. We want to pack it all into kind of one section. And then we're able to pre-light that, take an hour or two at the very beginning of the day, just really dial it in while actors are getting there and rehearsing and everything, so that when we're shooting, it's going to be smooth and seamless, and almost any area, any pocket of the restaurant that we move to, it's going to be a few quick adjustments and we're ready to go. And that's super important given that we didn't have a lot of time to shoot this commercial. So we know that kind of the hero of the story, a main part of the action, is this jukebox. And that was another reason why we picked this side, because the jukebox is nice and visible in this frame. And if we were on the other side, we would be looking at the back of the jukebox in the wide shot. So we're kind of centering all of our main cast around the jukebox. We know that right away just on day one of looking at the location. So the second thing that I want to dive into is my documents for the project, which would be my mood board, my storyboard, and my shot list. First off, my mood board, it's super simple. Basically, I'm just going to Shot Deck and I'm looking for images that I feel like represent the look and the feel of this project, and just things that are going to get me in the world visually. So I'm looking at lighting, I'm looking at color, color palette in the scene, as well as color grading. And I'm just assembling those images on one page, just kind of get a DNA of what we might be going for the film, and to kind of put me in the mood or get my mind set in the right place as I'm starting to think about this project. And then what I like to do is, it probably pertains more to narrative projects than commercials, but we'll sit down with the director and storyboard things out. Now, I'm a horrible drawer and I can't sketch to save my life. So this is something that I do through Shot Deck as well. Every single shot you'll see here, I'll show you on the screen, it's storyboarded out from other movies and other images. Lighting and color aside for this, that's all on the mood board. But then for my storyboard, I just like to go with composition, and then we'll take that and we'll put it into a technical shot list. You know, shot 1A is on a 16 mil wide angle on sticks. We'll transfer that to the spreadsheet. I don't go one project without doing that. Then we can refer to that on the day along with the storyboard and say, okay, this is the composition, like this is the reference that I'm going for. I know exactly where I kind of want to plop down the camera, what lens we want to start with, and then we can adjust from there. But it just makes things, again, super efficient whenever, if we're ahead of schedule and we want to try something different on another shot, then let's go for it. But at least barring any issues, technical things, the camera team, lighting team is going to be super efficient and help everyone get to lunch on time. So I think that's pretty much it for pre-production. I want to stay high level so that we can jump into detail on the lighting breakdowns. Okay, so we're at the desk. Let's go ahead and take a look at this top down that was created by my awesome gaffer on this project, Zachary Lewis. The great thing about having a gaffer who is so incredibly talented and super experienced is it makes my job as a cinematographer super easy. I don't have to think about these things. I don't have to think about, you know, what fixtures we're going to be using over here outside. And he's providing this awesome lighting plan so that when we get there on the day, we're ready to go. So let's start from the outside here, and I'll tab over and show you kind of how we're looking at this top down and how it relates to the world. So here are the outside windows where those lights were on the bottom of the top down. And then this is our bar over here on the right, and then the jukebox right here. So kind of looking at it from that perspective here. So as you can see, we have these 5 lights that are kind of giving us our ambient lighting throughout the entire night, playing as like a moonlight with some CTB, which just means color temperature blue gels. So it's giving us that cooler feeling, separating it from the warmer tones inside. You know, the set deck is mostly already done for us. Some things that we did add in this just to give some visual interest, and because this played in a shot for us, was these bells here on the left. We just wanted a shot of the bells, you know, the classic opening shot. So we added those. They're literally just taped up here, hanging down just for this shot. And then we added a little bit of pizzazz to the motorcycle, just some extra string lights for it. We ended up adding all of these little string lights that are draped up in here. We added this Christmas tree for additional depth, mainly for the shot that you'll see later. The jukebox was there. That was a big selling point for this location. Working with a spot that is already this cool makes it super easy for me to find fun frames and for us to light it in a really cool way. I knew that we had a ton of ability to control almost every light in this entire space, since all of these lights are coming in from the outside. It is nighttime, so we can control the ambience that's actually coming in to the room here and hitting all of our people and lighting up pretty much this half of the diner, which we really don't see too much. Majority of our action is going to be taking place over here. But because we control almost all the lighting except for these fluorescents up here, which we could take out bulbs here and there to control if we wanted to make this darker over here. But the approach was, because I have all this control, we're really looking at three things. It's our key level, fill, which in most cases is going to be actually negative fill. And then we have these like kicker edges, meaning these lights that are hitting the side of our main talent here, giving some color, adding some interest. The key is going to have two things. It's going to have level or brightness, intensity, and it's going to have the quality of light, whether hard or soft. So like I said, we have hard and soft. It's not a linear thing. So this isn't hard light per se, but it's harder than, let's say, this next shot. We actually brought in a diffusion frame for her to soften off that light even more. I guess a better word for it would be soft and softer, because I'm just telling Zach, hey, for her shot, let's bring in diffusion for her. Make it a little bit softer, make it a little bit more flattering than what we have here, which is just a little bit pingy, right? You're getting more of the hot spots. You're getting more of like a hard shadow in here versus for her, it's really, really soft. We've got more fall off coming this way. The light is wrapping around a little bit more. So the fill side of his face is opposite of our main key light, and that's this side here. And we don't want that to be too bright. So we've got some nice mood. It's nice and down here. So we actually would bring in black fabric or a black solids, and that actually removes any of the light that would be bouncing back into the scene, whether from reflections or just ambient light, anything coming from outside of this shot that we don't want hitting him. So that's actually taking away light, and we're balancing the amount of fill, the negative fill, to give the perfect amount of contrast to where we want. You notice how this side of her face is actually lit up more than his. We actually didn't bring in any negative fill for this shot. We just let the contrast ratio be what it was because I wanted her to be a little bit brighter. Maybe you could think of it in a story way too. She's the softer one. He's hard. He's having a bad day. He's being more frustrating. And for her, she's trying to lift the mood, be brighter. So we don't want her face in as much darkness as him. Mostly the decision is just for look. And then if we go to a couple of our table shots, essentially the same exact thing. We've got our key playing from this right side. We've got our neg just outside of frame on the left side. And no kicker on this one. We've just got these nice colorful lights playing in the background, some nice bokeh from the tree. And can't tell if she's peeping the camera right there, but that's okay. We're having fun. For set deck and my shot selection, my composition, I wanted to make sure I had some sort of Christmas in every frame. So those lights really accomplished that for us. Having some of this like holly stuff on the table, you know, this little garland going through here. And then we have our little Easter egg again of our logo here in the back. These were some quick punch-in shots or cutaway shots that we were just kind of using to kind of get a vibe, get a feel of the liveliness of the place. Hello Christmas on this one, right? Crazy wreath just lit up on these string lights. And it's really playing heavy into like the motivation of how colored his key is. And if you weren't looking for it, you'd probably just be like, yeah, they're just getting blasted by this. But you can see here, this kind of gives it away. It's not just the Harley and these lights that are lighting up here. We've got a big old red key light right out of frame that's giving us all of this level. Okay, for this shot, it should be pretty obvious where the light is coming from because we have C-stand stuff all in here. Thank you, visual effects team, for helping us paint that out. So we've got lighting hitting him right here, pretty close, but we're also flagging the bottom of him off so that it's not just nuclear in the foreground here. There's still some depth and darkness and shape, which I'm pretty sure what this knuckle is for, is just a nice little cutter, just bottoming off the bottom of that light, so it falls off right in here. And then it also plays for him to like walk all the way back this way. So not too much else going on here. Here's another nice one, probably one of my favorites. Nice and soft on her. That's one where we brought in that extra diffusion frame. You can see kind of a ping in her head there, but letting it fall off nice, not too much extra contrast or negative fill, but just nice shape, getting some nice colors in here, looking at controlling these highlights here. So this is one of the only lights that we didn't have control of on set, is this little like mid ice lights. They like are in these like glass cubes, so we couldn't dim them and we couldn't control for them. So some of these shots like this one, or if we pop over to this booth here, what I did without being able to control those lights, I was wanting to balance for the brightest part of the image, the thing that I couldn't control. So I would actually take the iris and I would take it down from a 2.8 and just crank it down until I found a spot where I was happy with where these lights are sitting in the highlights. They're not too blown out, but they're still giving us some punch. And I would calculate how much ND I would need to put in to get that shot. So if I went down from a 2.8 to a 5.6, I know it's only 2 stops of ND. So as the camera team is prepping that filter, I can then compensate on my light meter and say, okay, we're throwing this much ND in, and now I'm ready to tell Zach exactly where I need my exposure to be with my light meter before the camera is even ready to see that. We could control the ambience in the room because it was nighttime and because we were punching all this daylight or moonlight through these windows. We could control exactly how much ambience there was, and so we're not having to balance for the outside and bring in a ton of extra firepower inside. We have control of all of that. And so in this case, this shot, this was really the only thing we couldn't control, was these ice lights. Another thing I wanted to touch on with these shots in this film is that we're looking at a far side key. We have our scene here, and maybe we go over to, let's do this shot here. And so let's establish our 180 degree rule. We have person here looking this way, and then we have person here looking this way, and this is could be a top down. Let's call it a top down. And they're looking at each other right here. So this is our 180 degree line, because if this is a circle and this is 360 degrees, half of that's 180 degrees. So our camera for this shot is somewhere over here, and we're getting a nice wide on both of them. And then for the coverage, let's move it up a little bit. We're like here on her, and then here on him. And all of our camera here is on this side of the 180 degree line. All of our lighting, our key lighting, I should say, is all on this side of the line. But when we jump into with this shot here, so let me redraw our scene. We have him, we have her, we have 180, we have a 180-degree line. And then his light is like, you know, right in here, bringing in a nice soft key. And then we have that negative fill that's right over here, right off frame of the camera, bringing us the maximum amount of depth possible. And then for her shot, take away these and just move it this way. Move our neg right over here and flip our camera around right here. And we've got our shot 2. So the point is keeping our key light, our main light source, on the opposite side of the 180-degree line. And so that's the approach. That's something that we stuck to on this entire commercial. You don't have to shoot everything that way, but it makes it really easy when you're communicating with your gaffer and saying, hey, we're going to go far side key for this whole thing. And immediately when I plop down the camera for the next shot, he knows exactly where he needs to put the lighting based on the scene and based on the blocking. So it's a good little shorthand to have, especially when you're working on a tight window like this. Okay, I think that's going to be all for this one. If you learned something, please let me know by leaving a comment. And yeah,